Hi everybody, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. My name is Afiz. If this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel because it helps the channel grow. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing something different. I was reading an article the other day and the article says the obstacle that is stopping crypto adoptions is education, because a lot of people don't know about what crypto really is and how crypto could help the world. And if you're part of the crypto space on Twitter, you will see that a lot of people or a lot of creators talk about DeFi or decentralized finance and how they make crazy amounts of money or gains in a short period of time. And I feel like a lot of people don't really understand how DeFi could help the financial world. So what I did is I bought a course on DeFi that explain what DeFi really is, and we are going to go through that course together and maybe get a little understanding of what decentralized finance really is. This video is going to be in few episodes because I don't want it to be a very long video, so it might be like episode by episode. So let's just get right into the video and get to know what DeFi really is. Okay, so the course that we are going to be going to, or that we're going to be looking at together, is called How to DeFi. This course is made by CoinGecko, and this pretty much talk about everything about DeFi that you need to know as a beginner. Like I said earlier, if you're on the Twitter crypto space and they're talking about how to earn substantial amount of APYs and APRs, you'll be mind blown. I was also involved. I tried some decentralized finance and how to make money, and I can say this really is something really good that everybody should know. So let's just get right into the video. Like I said earlier, this is going to be an episode because we are going to be going through this course together, and hopefully you don't get bored with it and you understand what DeFi really is. So let's just get started. We are going to start with part 1, chapter 1, and maybe we're going to stop at chapter 2. All right, so this is part 1, where you talk about centralized and decentralized finance. Chapter 1, the traditional finance institution. In our attempt to shed light on people new to DeFi, we will start by first going through the basics of how traditional financial institutions work. For simplicity, we will focus on the highest leverage institution in the traditional financial system, the banks, and discuss its key area to see the potential risk. I forgot to mention this, but DeFi, decentralized finance, is seen as the future of finance that could disrupt the current financial institution or current financial system that we have right now. That's why this chapter wants to go through what the financial institution and how it works first. So it says the bank are the financial industry giants that facilitates payments, accept deposit, and offer line of credit to individuals, businesses, other financial institutions, and even governments. They are so large that the total market capitalizations of top 10 banks in the world is $2 trillion. In April 2021, the total market capitalizations of the entire cryptocurrency market surpassed $2 million. I can remember back in April or maybe May, June, the crypto market space smashed $3 trillion, but the top 10 banks in the world is only worth $2 trillion. So banks are vital parts of moving machine that is the financial industry. They enable money to move around the world by providing value transfer service, deposit, withdraw, and transfer, extending credit lines, and more. However, banks are managed by humans and governed by policies that are prone to human-related risks such as mismanagement and corruption. There's so much corruption in the banking system that when you sit down and you start to think about some things that bank does, sometimes you realize it doesn't make any sense. So here's a list of the top 10 global bank in 2019. As you can see, ICBC in China has a $338 billion. Just one bank has $338 billion, and it made its way all the way to number 10. So let's just move on. The global financial crisis of 2008 exemplified excessive risk taken by banks, and governments were focused to make massive bailouts of the banks. This is the reason why cryptocurrency or Bitcoin was created in the first place, because of the financial market crash in 2008. And a lot of people realize what the governments are doing, and because the governments are bailing out banks and helping banks to get back on their feet and not the people, that's why the guy called Satoshi Nakamoto came up and be like, how can we solve this problem of payments? How can we go through about doing transactions without the government knowing or without using the banks? So that's why in 2009 they created Bitcoin. So this is what they're trying to say here. The global financial crisis of 2008 exemplified excessive risk taken by banks, and governments were forced to make a massive bailout of the bank. The crisis exposed the shortcoming of traditional financial system and highlighted the need for it to be better. That's why someone like Satoshi Nakamoto stands up and be like, we need something better. So he created Bitcoin in 2009. DeFi seeks to build a better financial landscape made possible by the advent of the internet and blockchain technology, particularly in three key segments of the banking system: payment and clearance system, accessibility, centralizations, and transparency. So we're going to go through all these three and see what they really mean and talk about. So the first one is payment and clearance system. If you have had to send money to someone or a business in another country, you know this pain all too well. Remittances involving banks worldwide typically takes a few working days to complete and involved all sorts of fees. To make matters worse, there may also be issues with documentation, compliance with anti-money laundering laws, privacy concerns, and more. Which, like, if you want to send money through MoneyGram or Western Union, there is a lot of law put in place to prevent people from sending money to someone they don't really know. So sometimes if you go to Western Union and you're trying to send money to someone in another country, they might not do it for you because they might be scared that you're trying to send money to a scammers. So for example, suppose you live in the US and would like to send 1,000 from your bank account in the US to your friend's bank account in Australia. There are typically three fees involved: the exchange rate from your bank, the international wire outbound fee, and the international wire inbound fee. Additionally, it will take a few working days for the recipients to receive the money, depending on the recipient's bank location. That is crazy. Cryptocurrency that powers the DeFi movement allows you to bypass intermediaries who takes the lion's shares of these transferred profits. It is likely to be quicker as well. Your transfer will be processed with no questions asked, with relatively lower fees compared to banks. For example, the transfer of cryptocurrency to any account in the world will take anywhere between 15 seconds to 5 minutes, depending on the several factors along with the small fees. Imagine sending money to someone and it just take like between 15 seconds to 5 minutes instead of taking like 2 to 3 business working days. You know, that's crazy. And the other thing here, number 2, is accessibility. In case you are lost, this is a key segment of DeFi. So we are moving to number 2 right now: accessibility. Chances are, if you are reading this book, you are banked and have access to financial service offered by banks, which is true. Everybody does, you know, to open a savings account, take a loan, make investment, and more. However, many others are less fortunate and do not have access to even the most basic savings account. The World Bank estimate that as of 2017, there are 1.7 billion people who do not own an account at a financial institution, and more than half of them are from developing countries. They come mainly from poor households, and some of their main reasons for not having a bank account are poverty, geographical, and trust issues. Yes, a lot of people don't trust. Like me, I don't trust the bank too, you know. However, the World Bank also estimate that 2/3 of the 1.7 billion unbanked populations have access to mobile phone. Therefore, with an internet connection, DeFi apps can be a gateway for millions of people in the unbanked populations to access financial products and conduct financial transactions without going through lengthy verification process as required by traditional bank. Imagine you trying to do bank transactions and all that, and you have to like go to the bank before you can send money to someone in another country, or instead of using a DeFi app or cryptocurrency that you just use on your phone, and the person is going to receive the money in 15 seconds to 5 minutes, instead of using the bank that would take like 2 to 5 or even 7 business days. That's insane. DeFi represents a moment that seeks to push borderless, censorship-free, and accessible financial products product for all. DeFi protocols does not discriminate and level the playing field for everybody. So a 15 years old or a 16-year-old that have access to internet can do like financial transactions, while like in the bank, if you're not 18, they won't open a bank for you, or you have to open a bank under maybe your parents' name or your guardian's name, you know. And now we are moving to number 3 key parts of DeFi, which is centralizations and transparency. There is no denying that traditional regulated financial institutions that comply with government's laws and regulations are some of the most secure place to park funds, which is true, because you know, in some banks, if you go to the bank and you deposit like $10,000 cash in your bank account, they have to report that transaction to the government, or the CRA you call it, or the CRA or the IRS, in whatever tax bodies that you have in the country. Like in the US now, if you deposit like $10,000 cash, the bank have to report that transactions to IRS. The bank have to report that to the IRS. That's why I say there is no denying that traditional regulated financial institutions that comply with government laws and regulations are some of the most secure place to park funds, which is true, but they are not without flaws. Even large banks can fail. Washington Mutuals, with over 188 billion in deposit, and Lehman Brothers with 639 billion in assets, have both failed in 2008 when there was a financial market crash. In US alone, over 500 banks failed has been recorded. Banks are one of the centralized points of failure in the financial system. The fall of Lehman Brothers triggered the start of 2008 financial crisis. The centralization of power and funds in the hands of the bank is dangerous, and rightfully so, looking at past incidents. Transparency also ties into this. There is no way for regular investors to know what financial institutions do entirely. Some of the events leading up to 2008 financial crisis included credit rating agencies giving AAA ratings, best and safe investments, to high-risk mortgage-backed securities. It will be different with DeFi. DeFi protocols built on top of public blockchains such as Ethereum are mostly open source for audit and transparency purpose. They usually have decentralized governing organizations to ensure that everyone knows what is happening and that no bad actors can single-handedly make bad decisions. DeFi protocols are written as lines of code. You cannot cheat the codes, as it treats every participant equally without discrimination. The code runs exactly as they are programmed to, and any flaws quickly become evident as it is programmed to public scrutiny. However, this means that the only people who can understand code will be able to determine the actual functionalities of the end product. In practice, most users are unable to read the codes and rely on other factors such as the developers' reputations, word of mouth, other developers' comments, and community approval. In other words, DeFi protocols rely on decentralized peer-to-peer review. DeFi's biggest strength is its ability to remove intermediaries, which is the bank, while operating with zero censorship. Now we want to compare the decentralized finance and the traditional finance, which is the bank, together and see the difference between them. Frictions, inaccessibilities, and regulatory uncertainties are common of the major issues plaguing the current banking system. Unfortunately, not everyone is privileged to be banked in the current financial system, nor can they compete financially on the level playing field. One only needs to look at the conundrum behind GameStop, GME, which like a lot of people make so much money from. GME trades, where a bunch of small-time investors decide to buy GME shares because big-time hedge funds heavily shorted it. Financial apps like Robinhood had to step in and restrict GME trade because of the extraordinary volatility. Some might take these as a face value, while others will note that one of the Robinhood's biggest customer is Citadel LLC. Citadel is a company that invested in Malvin Capital, which lost billions of dollars over their shorts on GME. So basically what happened with GME is, what this is trying to explain is Citadels make a big short on GME to make profit on them, right? But small time investors decided to buy back when they realized they're placing a big bet or a big short on GME GameStop. And when the small time investors buy the stock, that is when the stock skyrockets, and Robinhood had to stop people from buying it because one of their biggest customer, which is Citadel LLC, has lost billions of dollars already. The DeFi movement is about bridging these gaps and making finance accessible to everyone without any form of censorship. In short, DeFi opens up huge windows of opportunity and allows users to access various financial instruments without any restrictions on race, religion, age, nationality, or geography. When comparing both traditional and decentralized financial products, there will be pros and cons on each side. In this book, we will walk you through the concepts and possibilities of decentralized finance so that you will know how to use it best future to solve real world problem. So that's where we're going to stop for episode 1. As you can see, we finished chapter 1 and we are moving to chapter 2, which is what is decentralized finance. This is where things get serious. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next episode.
I gave you my heart.